Hello. In this video, I'm going to be drawing this Polistes Fuscatus wasp. Photos by James Reben. To start off with, I'm going to draw the head. And it's kind of like a little bit of a tic-tac shape. So, kind of like that, but you know what? I think it should be a little thinner and a little wider. Kind of like that. So, what I want to do is I want to carve out, well, the important thing is both of the eyes kind of lay on top. You know, they're kind of like, you could think of it like a skull in which the eyes are recessed into the skull. But it is important to kind of show how it recesses. And I guess it's also important to know that it kind of bulges out ever so slightly. You know, it's not painted on, it's actually on it. And now that I look at it, I'm trying to compare a lot of things. I'm trying to think of this gap space between both eyes. Kind of like that. So it's kind of like I made the circle, or the initial gesture construction thing, a little bit too wide. But I don't think that's something to worry about so much. I think I got the main essence of it correct. And it probably should be bulging a little bit more. Well, I think it works. Okay, so now what I want to do is, looking at the head, I wanted to put two initial connections for the antenna. It's like one here, one here. Looking at the eyes, it kind of looks like both kind of like dip in a bit. They kind of have these interesting recessions. Sorry, I try not to spend too much time erasing. As in general, erasing tends to be a bit of a waste of time. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw some lines for the antenna. And I will be adding more of the shapes that I'm seeing onto it later. I just want to establish some initial lines for them. This other one is facing towards us, so it's kind of like just like that. It's a bit obscured. It actually looks shorter. I wonder if something happened to it. Sometimes insects may lose their antenna in battle or something along those lines. The other thing I wanted to do was thinking about the top of the head. It kind of does bulge ever so slightly until it comes back and connects around the skull. The other thing is this wasp has some mandibles, and there's got to be an initial connection point for them. And I always think of them as like two halves. This, well, they're a bit sharper. And we could see our wasp here has some bug in his mandibles. Lunch? It's not making me hungry, but I know a lot of hornets and whatnot will eat. They help keep the insect kingdom and arachnid kingdom in check. So they do play an important role. It's important to keep that in mind. Okay, now what I want to do, I want to add the ball of the thorax. And this ball of the thorax, it is quite interesting. There's a lot of connections that kind of make things a little bit hard to see, but there are also some things that are really incredibly clear to see. I'm going to start off with a ball for the thorax, about here, and I will add other forms onto it. So we have the ball, and, well, you know what? It's a little bit off. I'm going to add so many forms onto this. When I'm looking at this wasp, it's kind of like its thorax looks a bit like a shell. This is probably one of the most interesting shells I ever have seen on a wasp, because I'm seeing all of this three-dimensionality of it. I'm seeing like this stuff, these additional forms that kind of bulge out near the back. We could see like clumps where the wings connect to. And it exists on the other side, it's just out of view. And we could see an interesting form here. It looks like it covers a bit of the leg. It's really interesting. All these various interconnected parts. And they all kind of like bulge off that initial ball shape. And everything connects in one way or another. Okay. Now what I want to do is, there's like this intermediary connecting area, which I will draw soon, but I wanted to draw the abdomen, or where the stinger is in the back here. We can't see the stinger, it's a bit out of view, but I did want to draw a ball for the abdomen. I'm going to do it a little thinner. It's kind of like that, and the important thing is there are various other connections. They're a little bit difficult to see, but they definitely exist under there, because obviously everything's connected, or the wasp would just fall apart mid-air. I can't see all the ridging of the back, because usually, and I guess it's bad for me to make assumptions, but usually on the abdomen you see these armor shell like patterns. It's kind of out of focus, so it's hard to see. I feel like I could see a little bit of one. But perhaps I'm taking a bit of a shot in the dark. Usually when it comes to me doing that, they say it's good to have multiple pieces of reference. Lucky for you, I know there are a couple different shots of this dude. Yeah, the shell, it's out of focus, so it has 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5. It's got 5 of these shells, and sadly, well, not, I guess you could say sadly, I mean, we can't see we can't see all the dimensions all at once, but I guess you could say the interesting thing about it is how you could kind of piece it together if you look at other images. I'm not going to expect you to know this, but it's always awesome if you can look at multiple pieces of reference of a given insect. But, sometimes maybe that's not your goal if it's out of view in any way. Because usually, like, the closer the shell, and it's not good to make generalizations like this, but sometimes, like, the closer the shell, the higher it stands and the longer it usually is, until it kind of gets thinner as it goes along. and it becomes out of view. So I'm kind of just estimating this. You could even say making it up a little bit, and I don't like to do that. So what I want to do next is I'm going to draw some gestural lines for the wings. I really do like the wings. We could see a good deal of both of them. And I think to start off, I'm going to do the back wing first. And you don't have to execute the entire shape in one go. Do know that. But it does help to have like an ending point, or an idea of an ending point. So thinking where the end of the wing here is, it kind of coincides with about here. And thinking of every wing, leg, body part, antenna in relation to one another could really help you get things more accurate. It does take a good deal of time to do it. I'm no professional yet myself, but it's something that I am trying to pay attention to when I draw, even though I sometimes do make mistakes along the way. I think it is important to do that. So we have a starting point or an ending point, and I'm going to say the starting point, let's just say it's like right here. I made a little mark. It could sometimes be a bit difficult to estimate it, but do your best. And I feel like an educated guess is better than no guess at all. Unless you're the SATs. if you're the SATs, be afraid to be wrong. I'm sorry, I'm just kidding. Not to be morbid in that. We could see some of the patterns of the wings, some of the structure that makes it up. It's kind of hard to see it. It's a little bit out of focus. But I'm going to do the other wing now. An interesting thing about the other wing is look how it sits within the connection on the thorax. It kind of sits like, well, if you look at that ball thing, it's kind of like divided into two. Then it kind of like, the wing like wraps around it. To about there. And yeah, kind of like that. It should be a little bit more sharp. I kind of made the end a little bit flatter than I wanted to. So I'll kind of add that little... It's not sharp, it's just kind of the perspective of what we're seeing on it. It should be rounded, but I guess you could say it kind of like... It's from a different angle. So it's kind of making things a little bit more difficult. And it appears to me like I could see something hanging off it. It may be a part of the wing, and it could be a bit of a perspective distortion, but it's kind of hard for me to tell. Now what I want to do, I want to add the legs. We can't see all of the legs, but we could see some of the attachment points. It's interesting because it looks like there's some reinforcement to the legs. And usually I like to draw some gestural lines when I do this, but I think, and I am going to quickly, and it's kind of like I need to add a little bit more structure because I see like a connection point like right there. It's kind of like a bulging tube of the sort. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. I'm going to quickly draw some lines to summarize. Yeah, there's an interesting thing going on with this leg here. That end part, it was going well until I did that end part. I probably tried to execute it too far in one go, because when you do look at that end part, it kind of like bends up, kind of curls up a little bit. And the back leg, it has like another, it has a really interesting part. I should add that structure real quick. And it's kind of like just a little bit above here, kind of comes back, connects to the thorax. Now, and the other interesting thing here is in the back we could see a little bit of a flailing leg. Can't see all of it, but it looks like it's flailing a little bit. But yeah, this leg kind of goes like there. Kind of like that. That's what I'm seeing. The other legs are a bit obscured, sadly. Overall, I really do like this picture, though. It is pretty interesting. Perhaps I should have tried to draw like a quick blob for the food in its mouth. Just trying to draw something a little bit quick. Okay, so now I want to add the structure for the legs. And the legs, you know what? So I'm going to make it work, even though I could have done the line a little bit better. Yeah, not liking the shape I made. I think the leg should have been sticking out a little bit more. That leg section, we have all these stacking triangles. Then the end, you have like little claws. Okay, now for this other leg. There's like an interesting ball. I'm not sure what it is, but it's an interesting thing. Kind of like, seems like a little bit of an extra covering of some sort. I'm not really sure what the purpose is. There's a lot of overlap going on, so it does become a little bit of a challenge to see. Now for this leg section, sometimes these really fine, smaller parts could be easier to draw with your wrist. And I usually recommend drawing with your shoulder, but sometimes if it becomes incredibly fine, you may have to use your wrist a little. Okay, now for the last leg. Not that I'm on my last leg. So I could see like a little part of a leg over here. It's really hard to see it, but it's over there. But besides that, looking at this leg, there's like another additional ball structure like here before we get to like the main section, or more like two, like the other one. It's kind of like this reinforcement, so to say. So the leg here, kind of does that. And that kind of just goes up. It's kind of like a large tube. Then here, the interesting thing here is how the connection looks. It's kind of like there's like not too much of a joint gap there. Kind of looks a bit weird. Like I know it is fused together, but it's an interesting. Should be a bit straighter. Or when I say straighter, I mean I think it should be more of a single C curve, and I think on the other side it should have been more of like an S curve type thing. When I do look at these legs, commonly it kind of looks like there's usually something along the lines of an S curve on one side and more of a C curve on the other. I'm seeing these alternations, so to say. And I've noticed it a lot in nature. You know, it's not perfectly symmetrical. It's like this asymmetrical thing. So here I'm kind of seeing like these tic-tac like things. They're all connected. This one's a little bit more bulging out. I think the end should be a little bit longer. Kind of like a matchstick. And I guess you could see the little claws on the end. I guess I should have made a... Okay. But yeah, those are the main things that I'm seeing on our wasp friend here. Perhaps I should have made this eye section bulge out a little bit more. Kind of makes it look like it's a bit flat. And that is not the intended effect that I was looking to show. But yeah, other than that... Oh, the antenna. Well, I can't end it there. I forgot the antenna. We can't see all the individual shapes of it, but I see like a large initial shape here as it connects to the head, which it looks like there's another initial ball-like shape starting off. Yeah, as it goes, it's interesting. It's kind of like thin near the end. We can't see all of the parts of the antenna, but they're like all like stacking cups. So do keep that in mind. Sometimes you can look at other images and they may give you more information about them, even though like we can't see all of this one. And actually, perhaps I should have made that dip a little bit more prevalent. But yeah, it becomes a bit obscured on this side. It's a little bit out of view. Also, when I am looking at the head, it kind of looks like there's a bit of a... It looks near its temples, there's a bit of this bulging-like thing. Its face is a little bit more bulging out than I expected. And I guess you could say here there's also some more structure. It's a little bit difficult to see. I'm pretty sure it's all special reinforcement for probably the mandibles and different ways for the head to move and antenna connections. But yeah, those are the main things that I am seeing. Perhaps I should have made this mandible a little bit down more as it connects. But yeah, I hope this video helps you kind of understand a little more about this wasp. It's a really good photo. I know there are other photos on the website where I got it from James. Yeah, I'll have to draw this wasp in other forms. I really like seeing the other photos of the abdomen covering, like the shell-like thing. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. If you have a question, please ask in the comments. If you like the video, please like it. And if you like my channel, please subscribe. Thank you very much for listening. Bye.